tonight on Monday as part of an ongoing investigation into Tiffany Henyard's leadership in the South Suburbs.
FBI has launched an investigation into controversial Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Dane Placco has been following allegations of her misspending and joins us now with an update. Dane.
Yeah, we've been reporting for nearly 2 years on allegations of corruption surrounding Henyard in her capacity as Dalton Mayor and Thornton Township.
Dalton, Illinois, Mayor Tiffany Henyard is under FBI investigation for alleged misconduct, drawing significant attention. The agency is demanding financial records from the Tiffany Kennedy KS Foundation, focusing on transactions exceeding $10,000. Shocked by recent developments, Dalton's trustees and local leaders are seeing mounting evidence against Henyard. The probe began when FBI agents questioned prominent residents, though officials have not disclosed specific details. Long-standing allegations suggest Henyard misused her political position for personal gain, deepening suspicions of further wrongdoing. As the case unfolds, her reputation as a so-called super mayor continues to decline, further damaging her public image and credibility.
Interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charges. Did the FBI agents you talked to seem serious about?
Yes, very serious.
Concerns?
Very.
The FBI investigation into Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has intensified, raising serious concerns about potential misconduct involving public resources. At least 6 individuals, including local business owners, a former village employee, and a public official, have confirmed to Fox 32 that they were interviewed by FBI agents. Among them, several business owners claim they were denied licenses after refusing to support Henyard's campaign, fueling suspicions about political influence affecting commercial operations in the town. One such case involves Lawrence Gardner, who revealed that electronic surveillance is being used in the investigation. This further amplifies concerns regarding Henyard's leadership. Investigators are focusing on allegations of government fund mismanagement, including excessive police overtime costs for her personal security and significant out-of-town travel expenses. These expenditures, reportedly amounting to hundreds of thousands of dollars, are at the center of the inquiry. Additionally, the FBI is investigating claims that Henyard used public employees and resources for personal gain, which allegedly led to delays in issuing business licenses. Multiple business owners, including those operating restaurants and adult establishments, say their applications have been stalled under suspicious circumstances. Dwayne Wood, a Dalton restaurant owner, claims he has been trying to renew his business license for nearly a year without success. Wood believes the delay stems from his association with Dalton trustees who have been in political conflict with Henyard. He alleges that his support for these trustees has made him a target, leading to an unfair licensing process. Similarly, Chason House, the owner of George's Towing, has filed a formal complaint against the mayor's administration. House alleges that his business license renewal was obstructed because his company refused to endorse or contribute to Henyard's political campaign. He has openly welcomed the FBI's involvement, asserting that the investigation is crucial for ensuring transparency in how taxpayer dollars are spent. House also attributes his licensing troubles to his affiliation with a state group and his connection to trustees who refused to support Henyard. As the investigation unfolds, concerns about Henyard's alleged misconduct continue to grow. Business owners and local officials alike are calling for greater financial accountability and transparency. Many believe the misuse of public funds, political favoritism, and licensing delays have severely impacted the town's economy and governance. The controversy surrounding Henyard's administration has deepened tensions within the community, with residents questioning the fairness of the local government. If further evidence emerges, the scrutiny surrounding her leadership could intensify, leading to potential legal consequences. For now, Dalton remains on edge as federal investigators probe the mayor's handling of taxpayer resources and political influence.
A couple of agents, and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork to show them what was happening in court and what was happening in Dalton. And they told me they was investigating.
The FBI's investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration has become a long-awaited opportunity for Dalton to address years of alleged corruption and mismanagement. the small town, which depends on its leaders to prioritize the public good, has instead endured accusations of financial misconduct, self-interest, and a lack of accountability. Henyard's administration has been plagued by claims of misusing public funds for personal gain, further eroding public trust in local government. Dalton's prosperity relies on effective leadership, yet firefighters have worked without contracts. Roads have deteriorated, and essential community services have been neglected. Meanwhile, Henyard's administration has spent extravagantly on events, made controversial appointments, and allowed unchecked spending. The FBI's involvement has validated the concerns of her critics, renewing hope for justice and reform. Federal. Investigators are now uncovering what many believe is a deeply rooted system of favoritism and deceit. Public service employees, frustrated by seeing taxpayer money diverted from essential services, view the investigation as a crucial step in restoring financial stability and ethical governance. Many believe real change cannot happen without federal intervention, as past efforts to demand accountability have been ignored. This investigation marks a critical turning point, offering a path toward greater transparency and fiscal responsibility. Dalton residents are determined to demand significant reforms, ensuring that future governance truly serves the community rather than the ambitions of a select few. The people of Dalton remain steadfast in their call for integrity, accountability, and a future where justice prevails.
Out to the FBI, which said it is policy for the agency not to comment on the nature, existence, or non-existence of any investigation that may be occurring. A public relations firm responded on behalf of the mayor, saying neither Henyard or the village of Dalton have received any subpoenas or been contacted by the FBI.
Public outrage in Dalton has escalated following revelations that the FBI has requested documents related to Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration. This marks a significant turning point in the controversy surrounding her leadership, as the federal investigation sheds unprecedented light on her actions. Who have watched Dalton's reputation deteriorate and essential services decline, view the investigation as critical to uncovering the truth and holding those responsible accountable. The growing pressure from the probe and increasing public demands for transparency indicate that this is not an isolated incident, but the culmination of years of alleged misconduct. One key focus of the investigation is a subpoena for records connected to Henyard, as well as several other individuals and organizations, including the Chable Foundations and specific travel records. Among the requested documents are details of Henyard's extravagant spending, including a controversial trip to Las Vegas last year. During this trip, Henyard's former assistant and an ex-Dalton police officer filed a civil lawsuit accusing Henyard and one of her associates, Andrew Holmes, of assault and retaliation. The allegations surrounding this trip have only deepened suspicions of Henyard's misuse of power and resources. Both Henyard and Holmes have declined to comment on the lawsuit. On April 10th, the first subpoenas were issued, demanding personnel and disciplinary files for nearly 30 individuals connected to Henyard's administration. These documents are considered crucial in understanding the extent of potential misconduct. The subpoenas also seek information regarding Keith Freeman, the village administrator, who was recently indicted on bankruptcy fraud charges. Freeman's attorney has stated that he has no plans to step down, further adding to the scandals surrounding Dalton's leadership. Meanwhile, the law firm representing Dalton in at least 19 lawsuits in Cook County and federal court has announced its withdrawal from these cases due to non-payment. This situation underscores the town's financial instability and raises further concerns about how taxpayer dollars have been managed under Henyard's leadership. Residents have long criticized Henyard's refusal to allow an open and transparent investigation into her actions. When given the opportunity to facilitate such an inquiry, she vetoed a proposal to investigate her own behavior, heightening public skepticism and fueling speculation about potential cover-ups. The timing of Henyard's opposition to an independent probe is especially troubling to residents, who are increasingly frustrated with an administration marred by financial mismanagement, questionable appointments, and allegations of retaliation against political opponents. Critics argue that Henyard's actions indicate a leader more concerned with self-preservation than serving the community's needs. This behavior has significantly eroded public trust, and her refusal to permit an independent investigation has only deepened the sense of betrayal. The community's growing distrust is compounded by the recent arrival of FBI agents in Dalton. Though the agency has not provided specific details, they confirmed that they were conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity. The FBI has declined further comment due to Department of Justice policies regarding ongoing investigations. Despite this silence, many Dalton residents believe the investigation centers on Henyard, who has been under FBI scrutiny for weeks. For 3 years, residents have watched their concerns go unanswered, and they now see the FBI's involvement as a hopeful sign that long-standing issues will finally be addressed. Beyond Henyard, questions are mounting about the network of power surrounding her administration. A key figure in the scandal is Keith Freeman, accused of intentionally underreporting his income from both private sources and his employer in his bankruptcy case. Freeman, who runs a consulting business in Thornton Township and serves as Dalton's village administrator, is awaiting arraignment. His charges add another layer to the larger corruption puzzle within Dalton's leadership. Additionally, a civil lawsuit has been filed against Henyard and Andrew Holmes by the mayor's former assistant and a former police officer. The lawsuit alleges that Holmes engaged in assault and battery, while Henyard retaliated against the individuals involved. This incident allegedly took place during a meeting in Thornton Township following the Las Vegas trip. The lawsuit, coupled with increasing scrutiny surrounding Henyard's conduct, has placed her leadership under an even sharper microscope. Henyard's actions, including her attempts to silence critics and deflect attention from mounting allegations, have raised serious concerns. At a recent town meeting, Henyard tried to address budget issues and defend her administration, but her efforts were met with resistance from residents. At one point, she ordered the removal of a resident accused of disrupting the meeting further, fueling concerns about her leadership. Firefighters, long critical of Henyard's administration, have joined calls for accountability. One firefighter has accused Henyard of embezzling funds from the Firefighter Retirement Fund, a claim that has further damaged her credibility. Many firefighters have been reluctant to speak out against the mayor, fearing reprisals or career repercussions. Some say they have been intimidated into silence, worried that disagreeing with Henyard could cost them their jobs. The accusations against Henyard are mounting, painting a troubling picture of a leader prioritizing self-interest over public service. From obstructing transparency to allegedly embezzling funds and retaliating against opponents, Henyard's actions are increasingly seen as breaches of public trust. As the federal investigation progresses, the community anxiously awaits the truth. The growing public outcry signals that residents will no longer tolerate the corruption and mismanagement that have defined Henyard's leadership. The investigation is not just about holding Henyard accountable, but also about restoring confidence in local government. Many residents and public servants are demanding significant reforms to prevent future corruption. The FBI's involvement is seen as a crucial step toward breaking the cycle of mismanagement and dishonesty that has plagued Dalton's leadership for years. The town stands at a crossroads, with the outcome of the federal investigation likely to determine its future governance. For many, this represents a final opportunity to uncover the truth, hold those responsible accountable, and rebuild the trust that has been lost under Henyard's administration. Whether or not this opportunity for justice is realized remains to be seen. However, one thing is clear: Dalton residents are no longer willing to tolerate the corruption, inefficiency, and lack of transparency that have plagued their community for too long. The FBI's probe represents a defining moment for the town, and the people of Dalton are determined to ensure that their leaders are held accountable, restoring integrity to their local government.
For the last 3 years, myself, the board members, and the residents have been feeling like no one was coming to save us in regards to providing us with the information that we need to make decisions regarding our finances with the village. So today I feel as if we're maybe one step closer.
The city of Dalton is currently facing a federal investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's conduct, intensifying tensions within the community. Despite growing concerns, Dalton's firefighters remain committed to their duties, ensuring public safety while demanding transparency from Henyard's administration. One of their primary concerns is the mayor's travel expenses and compensation, which have become a focal point of public scrutiny. According to Julian Cruz of WGN, frustration in Dalton is mounting, particularly after the Thornton Township Board of Trustees recently failed to fully pass the 2025 budget. This failure triggered unrest among the 17 South suburban villages, with many residents expressing dissatisfaction with Township Supervisor Henyard, who remains at the center of the federal corruption probe. Amid mounting criticism, Henyard was seen celebrating with her supporters at a public hearing, a move that further fueled tensions. Residents, already frustrated by the ongoing investigation, voiced their concerns about her leadership, particularly regarding her increasing spending. One emotional resident declared at a hearing, "You increase everything across the board as if you're trying to drain the money." Henyard, however, insists that these expenditures come from her own pocket, though the source of the funds remains unclear, fueling further questions. A particularly controversial incident involved a community event planned by Henyard known as the Friends of Tiffany Henyard Picnic. Despite her claims that the event was non-political, trustees refused to fund it, suspecting its ties to her political campaign. The event featured food giveaways and roller skating, leading critics to argue it was a PR stunt aimed at improving Henyard's image amid corruption allegations. Henyard's attorney dismissed these accusations, calling the picnic a community function. However, critics counter that she used public resources to promote her political ambitions, particularly by branding food items with her campaign materials. Henyard defended her actions in a Facebook video, showcasing food distribution efforts and invoking divine support. "We got green beans, we got potatoes, you name it," she proclaimed, while calling upon God to guide the community and clear her name. However, concerns escalated when the Greater Chicago Food Depository, which oversees food distribution programs, raised alarms over Henyard's handling of township resources. The depository specifically questioned the staggering $117,000 cost of a roller skating event in Dalton, initially estimated at $29,000. Critics argue that food pantry resources should not be exploited for political or personal gain, particularly when intended for the town's most vulnerable residents. Henyard remains defiant despite mounting criticism, suggesting that those who oppose her are simply trying to control what they cannot. "There are people like me who care about the community, and people always try to stop things they can't control," she stated. She has also described herself as a dynamic leader, unwilling to be intimidated by allegations against her. However, this rhetoric has done little to quell public suspicions. As investigations into Henyard's finances continue, more troubling details have surfaced. It was revealed that taxpayers paid over $888,000 for hotel rooms linked to her activities, further deepening distrust. This revelation, combined with previous accusations of misusing public funds, has only reinforced concerns about financial mismanagement. The Illinois Attorney General had previously closed investigations into Henyard's charitable activities, making the situation even more precarious for the embattled mayor. Despite increasing pressure, Henyard maintains that she was divinely chosen to lead Dalton. "God wanted me to lead the people, and he knew that I would not back down," she asserted. Many residents, however, are not convinced by her appeals to divine intervention, seeing them as attempts to deflect from very real accusations of misconduct. The federal investigation into Henyard's administration is still ongoing, with new evidence further implicating her in questionable financial dealings. Her continued lack of transparency only fuels public skepticism, and her reluctance to fully engage with investigators has left many questioning her commitment to the community. The investigation, which has already revealed troubling financial practices, is drawing national attention as Dalton residents and observers await justice. The situation in Dalton has reached a breaking point. Community patience is wearing thin, and the federal probe remains a major public concern. With Henyard's leadership under intense scrutiny, the stakes are higher than ever. The investigation's outcome could have far-reaching consequences for her political future and Dalton's governance. Residents are demanding transparency and accountability, pushing for a leadership shift that prioritizes integrity over self-interest. Dalton now stands at a critical crossroads. The investigation into Henyard's actions represents a turning point for the town, with the potential to validate long-held suspicions or pave the way for reforms that restore faith in local governance. For many, this goes beyond holding one individual accountable. It is about rebuilding trust in the system and ensuring that future leaders uphold the highest standards of integrity and transparency. As the federal investigation progresses, pressure on Henyard and her administration continues to mount. Dalton residents anxiously await the truth, hoping for a resolution that prioritizes justice, transparency, and responsible leadership. They envision a future where their leaders are held accountable, where governance serves the public good, and where corruption no longer has a place in their community. Whether this vision becomes reality depends on the investigation's outcome and the residents' ability to reclaim their town from the grips of alleged corruption and mismanagement.